channeling the spell. This is going to be a Pyraga. It doesn't kill somehow, and it kills Naya to land a kill. Oh my god! Here, apparently not, because she is going for the back line. This is instant casting. Might have a chance. It is What's up, everybody? My name is Kason. Welcome back to the WDL. This is Season 4, Week 8 of the Wezette League, and it should be really fun today. We've got 6 awesome fights for you guys. So first, let's take a look at the standings right up near at the top. We've got Maraxus of the Guild Thunder Gods, coach of Bento Box Bullies, currently sitting at 8-1. Been dominant all season. He's going up against another juggernaut in Isvar, coach of Oelde's Angels this week, currently sitting at 7-2. Those are the only 2 teams that have clinched a playoff spot, and they're facing off against each other already. Maybe a bit of a playoff preview here. If Maraxus wins, he clinches the 1 seed with a week remaining. If Isvar wins, he puts himself in control of his own destiny, at least for the 1 seed, but would not clinch it depending on how things go with some of the other teams. Hisoka of Eggplant Brigade and Nemo of Lionsguard both sitting at a 6-3 record, doing very well for themselves as well. Hisoka with that head-to-head tiebreaker though, so currently sitting in 3rd place. Then we've got 3 different teams all sitting at 5-4. Greatestness of Elite, Meefle of Lightning Warriors, and Dervis of Section 9. Really huge in this 3-way tiebreaker. Greatestness picking up the win over Dervis last week was massive, as right now has that tiebreaker. So Garouken, Bag of Cats at a 3-6 record. Seems like they would be out of the playoffs. There is a couple of really specific scenarios that could happen that he could make it, but he has to at least win this week to even have a chance of continuing into the playoffs. Alkor, Taiyo, Shadow 91, and Maou unfortunately will not be in the playoffs, but I know they are looking to play spoiler, and a couple of these teams have already done it against some of these top teams, so I would not be surprised to see them do it again, guys. So it should be awesome. We've got 6 fights, and let's jump into them. First fight of the week for the Wezette League is Royally Funked versus the Eggplant Brigade. And we've got a good one here for you guys today. Rite of Refuge coming out from the Winter Wrath alongside Tyrell and Elia Rundall, all on that Melnia VC. That is some good synergy there, as it looks like Hisoka's bringing double axe with Vega, Yerma, and then Belo to tank it up. Hatred Reborn's going to be nice with the magic attack resistance up. Also gives himself a re-raise, as the March of the Dragon Stag Princess is here. Elia Rundall, obviously with that movement down. Only 2 spaces here. Dragon's Bloodline coming out from the Yerma to try and nullify statuses. Keen Blade from the Tyrell. CT up. Does it allow anybody to lap? Yes, it does. Winter Wrath is going to go next with the magical build-up. Couple of nice stat upgrades, as well as that magic damage shield, but that's not going to matter a whole lot, as it's all physical on the other side. Keen Blade to match from Belo, though. So mirroring each other with this Rob Horn TMR, Mortal Severance going to come out right away from the Vega, 1900 damage. That's actually pretty good for Alkor here. His Sharpshoot is going to crit for 5750, and things are looking up here. Yerma is going to go next, and this is a limit break, and oh man. Vega might have hit for 2k, but she is a different animal. It's damage caps. This Winter Wrath, 11,999. You got to be kidding me. Gives herself haste now. This limit break upgrade. The limit break was already fantastic, but now it is top tier, as the Taunting Blade comes out from the Belo for 3,900 damage. Gets himself some hate. And Yerma, with the haste, is going to go again. Reaving Axe for 6,300. Tyrell does manage to hang on. Actually, pretty nice by him, but the Devastation Rend is going to devastate him, as Elia is now in a 1v3 unless it is Reflex City. This fight is over, as Belo is going to drop, but Yerma dodges it. Man, Yerma out here just popping the hell off. Super Belo is here, though. And with the agility up, he is not actually going to go first. Yerma is going to come in with the Reaving Axe. Actually can't kill the Elia. The elemental advantage obviously helping out here. But Yerma just going absolutely crazy in this fight. Taunting Blade for 6750 from the Belo. And that is a very nice win for Hisoka and the Eggplant Brigade, who move to 7-3 on the season. The second fight of the week is Garouken's Bag of Cats versus Section 9, coached by Dervis. And this should be a good one. Dervis is running the Astrius, Agrius, and Sylvie comp. I swear he runs this just to trip me up with the names, but we'll see how it goes, as the Haste TMR is here for the Astrius, Keenblade from the Agrius. And it looks like Sylvie is going to go next with the Prayer of Resolute Oaths. Defense, Spirit, and debuff resistance for both says, hey, you can't break them. As All-Out Assault comes out from the Winter Luartha, this is that classic spear team that we've seen from Garouken multiple times. as the voice of despair is here for Dialdo. So the one thing I'll call out is that Garouken needs to win out and needs a bunch of things to go his way to make the playoffs. There's basically one specific scenario, but that starts off with this fight by winning here if he can pull it off. Dervis on the other side might not clinch a playoff spot with a win, but he would be very, very close to doing so. So very important for both of these two players, as Indomitability is here for the Asterisk, giving that courage, and it just gives him so much value when he has this online. The physical barrier for Agris as well could pay good dividends, as Asterisk is going to start things off with a cross destruction, get that defense debuff, along with 3,500 damage, and even increase his slash attack piercing to boot. But Dialdo shakes it off pretty well. Comes in with the Void Crash. Just an absolutely gorgeous limit break animation for 2,100 damage. Not a ton, but giving himself unit attack resist and regen is going to make him very, very pesky to take down. Winter Luartha sees the Astrius TMR and finally takes her second action here as she goes and hastes herself up. Clever Paladin Strike coming out from the Sylvie. Sick of supporting in the backline, she decides to join the fight and deal some damage. Binding Javelin coming out from a cloud does a good chunk though, 6,400, and lands the Immobilize, which means Agrius, what skills can she hit from here? Hallowed Bolt is what she can hit from here. I'm not sure that did any damage, but she is trying her hardest out here as Astrius is going to come in with the Limit Break from a cloud, and he does a lot of damage, but he doesn't take damage very well, as 7,600 on the crit is a ton. Crystal Tracer with the follow-up, and Dervis is looking pretty good at the moment here as Astrius just deletes that DPS, but Winter Luartha, if she has anything to say about it, says 10,000 damage for Javelin Fall, my goodness. Courage crucially keeping Agrius healthy though, as he still has 1 point of HP remaining. And things are looking pretty good for Dervis at the moment, because I think Dialdo was out of hate, as Astrius left him alone last time to go for the McLeod, and he should be able to do it again to Winter Luartha, I would assume. But Dialdo, can he pick up the kill on Astrius? He cannot. Goes for return to nothingness, and Agrius fortunately still has the hate, which means Judgment Blade Plus coming out. Again, barely any damage at all. Astrius, can he clean up a kill in one shot on this Winter Luartha? No, he goes for Unveiling Void Blade. Did Dialdo get hate back? I'm so confused as to how he didn't hit him before. Maybe it was just like a weird range issue. As Explosive Express comes out from the Winter Luartha, she gets to stay alive and not take any damage from the Astrius. 8,400 is so much, especially considering that was into an ice unit. Agrius apparently not too tanky versus Pierce attacks here, as Sylvie's going to go next. She already burned the Limit Break. She's going to go for a full life to try and bring the tank back. But Dialdo, with the prescient advantage coming out from Astrius, it does not matter. He strikes him down, and this is now looking very good for Garouken, as even if this full life lands, where is the damage from Dervis' side? Astrius is not going to come back. Winter Luartha with the Javelin Fall is just going to nuke both units. And damn, this re-raise for Sylvie is going to bring her back, but unless she can just crush through these units, which I don't see happening, this is a win and a showcase for Winter Luartha. The Knight's Blessing is going to be huge, though. Gives herself a nice 3-hit barrier. Can she deal any damage to the other side? Return to nothingness for 2,300. Even through the barrier, this damage from Winter Luartha is crazy. Binding Javelin's going to come out for 5,800. It's enough to kill. And Garouken and Bag of Cats says, hey, I don't know if I'm going to make the playoffs or not, but you better be damn sure that I'm going to go out in style. So, man, puts on a show with that Winter Luartha. A fantastic fight by both sides. And congrats to Garouken. Next up to bat is Maou and Norra's gang versus Nemo and Lionsguard. And it looks like Nemo is running a Montleonis, Resnick, and Kefka the Clown composition. On the other side, we've got a Howl at the Heavens Blade, Whisper, and Murmur. So Sworn 8's Pride Wind. We've seen this TMR once or twice before. It is the Wind Veritas TMR, as it does help deplete those AP bars. Keenblade coming out from the Whisper right next to her sister, as Murmur's going to start channeling a spell, probably going for a fast cast here. Teachings of Self-Preservation from the Resnick. And I think it's going to take a very long time for this fight to kick off, guys. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the standings. Nemo right now is 6-3 at the moment. If he were to pull off a win this week, it would be huge to keep pace with Hisoka, who's already won this week. So that is huge for him. Maou, unfortunately, out of the playoffs, but looking to play spoiler, has already taken a game off a couple of those top teams. Could it do it again here? It's Divine Shelter from the Whisper, another fast cast coming from the Murmur. And that physical barrier from Resnick is now on Mont. And I'm curious, against the Whisper that might make a difference, but otherwise not going to do too much. Mandato, the Heaven's Blade, coming out from the Howlet to try and make sure that everybody can basically just lifesteal their way through. And Montleonis, with tons of HP, going to go Immortal Spirit. And I don't believe there is Courage removal on the other side. I don't think Howlet gets Courage removal. I know that Whisper and Murmur obviously don't, as the Devotion is here for Whisper. And finally, we should get some damage coming out here shortly, as the Law of Refuge comes out from the Resnick, giving herself hate down too. So both units have physical breakers, or physical barriers, excuse me, Freudian slip, as the Siphotic Breaker comes out with the Howlet. 3,800 damage, though, is not too much. This Mont doing an excellent job tanking here. As Murmur says, hey, my entire party isn't hasted yet, so I'm going to go ahead and finish it off by hasting myself. Destiny's Cross comes out from the Mont, though. The very special MR unit with the only MR unit with a limit break, and that just got dodged by Whisper. So I don't know if Mont is just really inaccurate or if this is actually a dodgy team. Maybe it was just lucky or unlucky, depending on what side you're looking at. But this is interesting, as the fast cast does come out from Murmur again, so we're getting more haste on the side of their team. Tranquil Rendering comes out, does a ton of damage, but that limit break for Mont is crazy good, as it gives him a massive heal back. Kefka gonna go next, channeling a spell. Normally when he does this, it means it's Light of Judgment, but we'll see. It is Light of Judgment, 4,500 damage. Going to nerf the attack stat of Whisper as well, as Mont is getting a bit low on AP, 27. Has enough for a Killer Drain Blade. Is just going to top himself up. Almost full on the HP bar. But the Murmur coming in clutch with the Knight's Blessing for the 3-hit barrier. And that is one thing that can be quite useful against Kefka. Magic barriers can do a decent amount in terms of mitigating his damage. As Howlet the Heaven's Blade going to come in with the limit break. Good damage to the Resnick. Kefka does shake it off pretty well, as it looks like the phone's going to just lock for one moment. But Resnick, I imagine, going to go for a limit break here, probably. She's thinking about it. No, she's just going to go for the height 3 cure. Doesn't need to burn the limit break yet. Going to fully heal herself and the Kefka. And guys, this feels like a battle that very easily could go 2 turns. This feels like a bit of a wet noodle fight, as both teams are tanking the damage quite well. Although I will say, Howlet the Heaven's Blade is a beast. We'll see. Light of Judgment Plus, though, comes out for really good damage on the entire party. Howlet going to return some damage with the Tranquil Rendering, 6,400 onto the Resnick, but the counter cure comes in, which means she might even be in offensive mode next turn. Defense Destroyer from the Murmur going to just debuff a little bit. No re-raise to remove, so that part doesn't really matter. But Resnick, does she have any offensive spells turned on? If she's fully healthy, she doesn't need to heal, so this will be telling. What does she go for? This should be a Dream Inducer. If she's channeling a spell, that is pretty much the only attack she can do on a channel. Killer Drain Blade coming up from the Mont isn't going to do much, but it does deplete some AP, which could be huge depending on how much he has left. Dream Inducer comes out. It does sleep the Murmur, as it looks like Whisper and Howlet both getting low. Kefka might be able to just finish this off, though. They are all clumped up for a level 4 Fyra, and it is going to be a triple kill for the Clown and a win for Nemo and Lionsguard. Absolutely huge for him in terms of the standings, as he now keeps pace with Hisoka at that 7-3 mark. Will be clinched in the playoffs. And man, absolutely awesome fight. Congratulations to Nemo. Next fight is between Taiyo, coach of Witch of the Empire, and Shadow91 of the Vanargand. A couple of teams who are out of the playoffs at the moment, but both are very creative players, and I'm looking forward to seeing what is going to be brought here. Will we see some Esper shenanigans? It's Taiyo. I think we probably will. Commune with the Espers comes out from the Terra. Shield deployment for 9S. Looking at the positioning, there are a couple of units in the opposite corner, but one is fairly close. So will Taiyo get the Esper in time versus Shadow, as it looks like he is running the Helen of the Black Rose, Grace, and Unicomp, so trying to shut down any of the CT manipulation on the other side, as the Arrowfall comes in from Uni, kicking things off for 2,000 damage. Not a bad start. Pinion of Steel from the stern, so he decides to turn around and go back home instead of dealing any sort of damage. Call It a Deity comes out from Terra, and she is running Bowtie, it looks like, as she moves 2 spaces. I'm sure this is by Taiyo to try and get the Esper off quickly. This is so crazy how fast this Esper can come through, and this is Carbuncle. Ruby Light, this gives Reflect to everybody, and it gives the map effect. Guys, we've seen this once before, and this is versus a Helena, the Black Rose. I am really curious to see how this works out, as she goes with a physical barrier, which could be actually pretty important versus Stern and the 9S. Arrowfall coming out again from the Uni. Pinion of Steel just going to be refreshed. We get it, Stern. You want your AoE resistant, your AP. We get it. As Terra is going to walk forward, she is completely out of buffs. Assault Field from the 9S. Not going to matter a ton, I don't think. We'll have to see as Krace is going to go for the double shot sharp. Tons of damage onto the Terra. And says, hey, you can summon an Esper, but that's enough from you. You're not going to be able to do any damage in this fight. As Hex of Undoing comes out from the Helena. 100 edges from Stern. Oh my god, what was that? All right, I think we had a damage record in a different video for like 18,000. That was 23,000. What the hell is going on? That has got to be a new damage record. That has to be. It was like 11,000 to 12,000. I don't know what just happened, but Soul Harvest just went off, got reflected back into her face, and Helena the Black Rose deals a ton of damage to herself. 100 edges just pops off for so much. This map effect just ridiculously increasing the amount of damage that this Stern can do. Hacking comes out from 9S, and you wonder, is Taiyo hacking with all of that damage that they were able to put out? That Ruby Light or whatever carbuncle map effect is so ridiculous. It is so broken versus this team. It's so hard to get it off, but if you can, it is just wild. So shout out to both of these players. They're both very creative, and shout out especially to Taiyo. I know he's kind of a fan favorite because he tries these strategies and nobody else really tries them. They don't always work, but when they do, man, they're really awesome to see. So huge congrats to Witch of the Empire. Just a couple of fights remaining this week, and we've got a juicy one for you. We've got Greatestness Elite and Meefle's Lightning Warriors, a couple of teams who are competing for a playoff spot. And this should be a juicy one, as we've got Lightning, we've got Ravis, and we've got Ildira on the side of the Lightning Warriors. Ildira's Theorem going to come out. Tons of status, nullification, CT up, Maneater down on attack. This limit break is so good. It was always good for a long time, but now it is crazy, especially paired along with this Keen Blade from Ravis. So much CT on the side of Meefle with the Wind Veritas TMR. He's going to be able to get off so many buffs before Greatestness can really do a thing. As Ready to Pursue 2 also comes out, so Lightning's already had 2 turns before this Reagan gets to act. He says, leave this to me though, give some elemental resistances up, but I don't think those are the ones he needs here. As Immortal Spirit is there for Ravis, getting Courage up. And Ravis taking 2 turns before Gripper gets to act. Not good for Greatestness. As Mortal Draw comes in, he doesn't even get to buff. He doesn't even get his physical barrier online. And this is looking really, really good for Meefle here. They call it Cheese Blade for a reason, but it is damn good. His Silencing Jump just does a little bit of damage to the Ravis here. As Lightning goes for the buff, walks forward, momentum coming out from the Reagan to give himself some haste. He's going to have to put in so much work to have a chance here, though. And the big thing is, with Grifford not getting his physical barrier online, Lightning is going to be able to do a ton of damage to him. One of the counters for Lightning is, if you don't deal any damage, the follow-up doesn't do anything. But the Blinding Cross comes through, blinds the Grifford, and that could be a problem as well, as he does not have guaranteed hits. Man, Greatestness has been doing really, really well recently, but this is looking really good for Meefle. The Height 2 disable, it does not land on the Grifford. Dispel Spread is going to come in for 10k onto the Zosha. I think that was a little bit of overkill, as Reagan is going to start things off with a Sonic Octostrike Blade. This needs to deal so much damage to have a chance here. It's a good amount. It's like 4,400 after the chain. Or Grifford, can he hit with the blind? He can't, but actually that might be a good thing for Greatestness, as now he is going to get the physical barrier online. Height 2 disable comes out. Does it land? Ildira keeps going for this. I don't think it did. 3,600 though, the barrier breaker. She is in range to do it. So she at least couldn't go for some of her other attacks, but she breaks the barrier, gets the follow-up, dealing a good chunk. Blinding Cross coming out again from the Ravis. The Reagan refuses to be blinded. Grifford, does he go for his barrier again? I imagine he probably does, and he does. And I think this is a good thing. You're forcing Lightning to use her barrier break skill instead of the AoE. Height 2 disable comes in though, but this time it lands on both. Oh my goodness. This is brutal. Life Siphon 2 comes out. It's going to kill the Reagan. And it is a blind disabled Grifford versus the entire team. Poor guy. And now it is a stunned blind disabled Grifford. Oh man, this is brutal. As Lightning is going to go next, she's coming in with the Army of One, and for this fight, she truly was an Army of One. That's not fair. Ildira put in a lot of work. Ravi's put in a lot of work as well, but my goodness, this Lightning dealt so much damage. And in a fight that's really important for the standings, that is a huge win for Meefle and the Lightning Warriors. I don't know if it clinches a playoff spot, but it puts them very close to it. So absolutely excellent fight from both of these players. The final fight of week number 8 for Wezette League is about to kick off, and we've got the battle for the first seed here. Isvar and Oelde's Angels versus Maraxus and the Bento Box Bullies. We've got Winter Ravies, we've got Charlotte, and we've got Vellis on the side of Maraxus. The full UR comp alongside Kilfei, Celebrated Jaden, and the Valade from Isvar with the Dark Golem synergy here. And this is interesting as that Wind Veritas TMR comes out. This is, I believe, the first time we've seen Isvar with a team that doesn't feature Oelde, King of the Lions here. As speaking of Lions, Boon of the Lion comes out from the Valade with the AoE resistance, Shield of Staves from the Kilfei with the barrier. And this should be an interesting fight, but their speed advantage is going to the Bullies here with full haste online from the Vellis. Winter Ravies is ready to go. Charlotte with the attract wall's got plenty of hate, debuff resistances. The one thing I will say, Charlotte is not good versus Pierce, but knowing he was going up against Isvar, Maraxus had to have been prepared for this, so I expect additional Pierce resistance on this Charlotte. So we'll have to see how this goes. Barblizera, though, is going to be nice versus the ice damage of the Winter Ravies. Cauterizer from the Vellis. Is this going to be an offensive Vellis since he is using the Roy Mustang TMR with AP down? I don't know, but we're going to find this big old snowball onto the other team. It does land the Frostbite and depletes a little bit of AP. But it looks like Wizard Staff online for the Kilfei as she's going to get CT up. Protector's Holy Judgment for the Charlotte. With the Limit Break upgrade, this is very, very nice, giving herself a nice little heal back, unit attack resistance, a bunch of good stuff. Magellance Rain comes down, and that does barely anything to the Charlotte. And as I said, that was a tank that's normally not very good against it. You can see that they are very much prepared for it on the side of Maraxus. And if Celebrated Jaden is doing that little, I think that spells disaster here for Isvar. We're going to have to find out. The Valade is going to go with the S unit, removes the Frostbite, so Kilfei should not have any sort of AP issues. Great Slash, not dealing a lot of damage, though, so Isvar also prepping very, very well for the damage from Maraxus. So this fight is going to be really, really interesting. It looks like a channeled spell, so it should be another Magellance Rain, but the Icebreaker from the Vellis, and remember, he used Roy Mustang's TMR. This is going to deplete a lot of AP, 20 on both. Celebrated Jaden already has AP issues, and Maraxus is looking to play into that. As the Energy Blaster comes in, a good chunk actually to the Winter Ravies. If they can get another one of those, and it wasn't the Magellance Rain, it was Maddening Verse. So you can see how much Pierce Res is on Maraxus. The Celebrated Jaden is actually going for magic attacks. As Great Slash comes through, it's a good chunk, but Valade might be able to heal them back up. He needs to get this off quickly. He does. Kira comes in for 4k. Lightning Strike for barely any damage does debuff the Lightning Resist, and now Vellis, is he full offensive mode, or does he still have heals on? He does. Snow Healing comes out for 4,600 though, so not an incredible amount. Earth Staff coming in drops the CT, but as long as Charlotte has hate, I think the odds are in Maraxus' favor. However, how much longer can she hold that hate? She might not have to, as the Great Slash does a good chunk of damage. Can she claim a kill on anybody? No! She goes for Valade. So apparently she couldn't have killed Kilfei from there, so she just deals the most damage she can to the Valade. He comes in with another Cura. And a team building masterclass from both of these players as they're mitigating damage from the other side very, very well. Val is coming in with the Snow Healing again. With some of that healing power down, though, it doesn't do a ton. Brute Force comes in and barely claims the kill onto Kilfei, which is huge because Winter Ravies is out of AP. And speaking of, Jaden's in the same situation. He's going to standard attack and get it back. But in this type of fight, I was just about to say Vellis is going to heal them to full, but with the healing power down and just height-based cure, it barely does anything, but full life comes out, and now Kilfei is back, and all of a sudden, this looks like it might be in the favor of Isvar. Fragmental Rock, Golem Esper, and you can see all of that Pierce Res in for Charlotte. Very much prepped for it on the side of Maraxus versus Isvar. The map effect could help a little bit. Not the best one that you would want here, as the standard attack comes out from Ravies. Vellis is going to go next. Is that healing power down still active? It doesn't matter. He goes sub-zero. He goes offensive mode. He says, I'm tired of this damn fight. I'm tired of this Jaden. I'm going to get rid of him. But now Kilfei says, no, that map effect, I don't like it. We need it on our side as the Shiva is going to come down. How much damage is it going to do? And does it help them out? They need to claim a kill to pull this off. There's only 7 actions left in the fight. And with Jaden down, it is going to be tough. Looking at the turn order, though, Valade will act before Velis, but Kilfei will not, so I don't know how they're going to claim another kill before he heals back up. Charlotte dealing a good chunk. Winter Ravius is going to go next with the Great Slash. Valade still manages to hang on. This is the tankiest Valade I've ever seen in my life. White-based Cure comes out, though, and they are going to run out of actions. And man, oh man, Maraxus and the Bento Box Bullies are going to claim the victory in this last fight, guys, with 3 units remaining versus 2 on the other side. Just going to shout out, like, both teams obviously very prepared for this fight, mitigating the damage extremely well. I mean, if that Great Slash doesn't pick off that Kilfei, this fight very much might end in 3v3. Or the Isvar might have won that. So it was a very, very close fight. Well done by both. I would not be surprised to see these 2 players at the end of it in the finals together, but we'll have to see. It'll be interesting. And congratulations to Maraxus for clinching the 1 seed.
All right, guys, with 8 weeks over and done with and 1 week remaining, this is how the Wezette League standings shake out. I'm going to go ahead and take off my face so that you can see everything and follow along with me. So first of all, we have Maraxus in first place, and that is all cinched up here. So Maraxus of Bento Box Bullies, bullying the league throughout the season, 9-1, have clinched the first seed and will have a first round bye. And then after that, we'll face off against the winner of the 4 versus 5 matchup in the playoffs. After that, though, it gets really, really interesting. Right now, we have 3 teams, all at 7 wins, 3 losses. Right now, Isvar has the best situation in terms of tiebreaker, as he is the only team that controls his own destiny to get that top 2 spot. If he wins, he is in. He has beaten Hisoka head-to-head already, and the final week he plays against Nemo. So if he wins, he would have a 2-0 tiebreaker, and he would be in. However, if he loses to Nemo, now this is opening up the possibility for either one of these 2 teams to get one of those 2 spots. If Hisoka wins and Nemo wins, Hisoka will be the 2 seed. If Hisoka loses and Nemo wins, Nemo would be the 2 seed. So that is the situation we're looking at. All 3 teams eligible for a first round bye heading into the final week. It just all depends on who wins. Hisoka obviously going up against Maou, and Isvar going up against Nemo. Those are the 2 matches to look at for that. After this, though, it does continue to get interesting. There's 2 more spots remaining and 3 teams fighting for it. So Meefle, coach of Lightning Warriors, at a 6-4 record. Meefle plays against Dervis in the final week. As you can see this matchup here, Meefle has already beaten Greatestness, and Greatestness has beaten Dervis. So what we have here is if Meefle wins, he obviously would be 7-4. The tiebreaker wouldn't even matter. And then Greatestness would automatically clinch a playoff spot. So regardless of what happens in Greatestness battle, if Meefle wins, they both clinch and Dervis is out. If, however, Dervis beats Meefle and they both end up at 6-5, if Greatestness loses, obviously they would both make it. But if Greatestness wins and all 3 of these teams are 6-5, we are going to have a really weird 3-way head-to-head 3-headed monster where they're all 6-5 and they're all 1-1 against each other. In that situation, our next form of tiebreaker is a basically sudden death, best of 1s against each other. So we might have another round of tiebreakers depending on how that goes. But like I said, obviously, if Meefle beats Dervis, we don't have to worry about that. But if he loses, there's a real chance that we could be going to another stage of tiebreakers there, guys. So after that, we have Garouken, Bag of Cats. Even with the win this week, unfortunately, I don't know what the other tiebreaker scenario was, but it disappeared. He unfortunately cannot make the playoffs. There's no situation where he can make it on any sort of tiebreaker. So for him, he will not be in the playoffs, but still a pretty good season with 4 wins up to this point. And next week, could try and take down the top dog Maraxus, at least for Pride. I expect that to be a pretty good match. So after that, Alkor and Taiyo, both at 3-7, and Shadow 91 and Maou at 2-8. We've got a bunch of teams looking to try and play spoiler against some of these other teams, and we'll see how it goes. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed all the leagues up to this point. Next week will be interesting. We're going to have 4 different videos of all of the leagues. So this week we only had 3, but it should be entertaining. There's a lot of these leagues are crazy coming into the final week, so I'm excited to see what happens. But thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.